How old you were? How old are you now?
Test, test.
And then it took me a year to start like actually getting hands-on.
Well, that must have been your decision, because I usually leave that too.
All right, so this is going to be like the pre-introductory. Again, my name is Troy Mckalla. I'm the speaker for tonight. Currently, I work here at Pelican Harbor Seaward Station. I do a plethora of things from answering intake calls, going out on rescue missions. I go to all of the local schools and libraries. If you guys have any kids, I probably taught them or have been in the environment with them. All of the tours that you will see here, as well as the seabird cruises, that is something that you also may see me on. So my face is on a lot of different screens for a lot of different reasons. Working at Pelican Harbor has been a great opportunity. Just because I get to see a lot of familiar faces and new faces, but most importantly, I get to break a lot of paradigms that people have about wildlife rehabilitation, animals for that matter. A lot of times when people are encountering me out in public, I have a Virginia opossum with me or our eastern screech owl. And for many people, it's their first time ever seeing an animal like that, and also being educated about that animal. And on top of that, with the Maggie or Virginia opossum, she's super docile, so it's their first time even touching that animal. Aside from that, I started working at Pelican Harbor, one, to get my feet wet in a more of a native wildlife sense, just because my heart is with the exotics, primarily herpetology. I'm a herpetologist at heart. I've been a nerd for this stuff since literally, since I knew myself, since I've been like 5, 6 years old. And I'll tell you guys a little bit about that in my early beginnings when I started working and actually saw my first snake. So I was born here in Miami. However, my family is Jamaican, and I've been back and forth going to Jamaica when in my early childhood. So during that time frame in Jamaica, my family, we have like farms, goats, pigs, chickens, rabbits, you name it. I'm out in the field picking bush, eating all the animals. But my time here, one of my older cousins had 2 ball pythons. That's where it started, and I went down the rabbit hole. So he had his 2 ball pythons, and I'll keep it short and sweet. What happened was I put one around my neck, had one in my hands, and I went to go show my mom and my auntie, and they had that reaction. Yeah, they freaked out a little bit. It wasn't a pleasant sight for them. And speaking of which, that's the lady that I showed the ball python.
Hello, everyone.
So yeah, so I was at my aunt's house when we were with Vincent. Yeah, I picked up the 2 ball pythons. I tried to show them to her, and yeah, they freaked out. At that young age, I didn't understand why someone would have that connection or response to a snake. To me, it was just like any dog, any cat. It was just another animal. And then, out of that curiosity, I just went down the rabbit hole. I would go down to, when I went to school, I read every single book that they had on animals, specifically snakes. My principal got notice of it, and they sent me to Zoo Miami for the summer, and we went on a behind-the-scenes tour. I got to hold chinchillas for the first time, big Burmese pythons, and feed all these different animals. I fed rhinos for the first time, and yeah, my mind was blown. So fast forward a little bit, I wanted my own animals. However, that was something I figured out I had to get on my own, because I started washing cars and cutting grass, just how to save up any little money I could. Ended up riding on my bike, bringing home a tank one day, and the next week get bedding, the next week a hide, water bowl, and then eventually during that summer I got my first corn snake. It was a creamsicle corn snake. At the time we named him Snakey, and yeah, he stayed with me all throughout middle school, all throughout high school. And yeah, I was from that point in time. I also, in middle school, I graduated and got a leopard gecko, so I got my first lizard. And then yeah, from that time, Literally, I was the person that everybody would know if they had any animal questions, anything of that nature, they could come to me. I could tell them the scientific name, their origin, where they come from, their diet, you name it, I could tell you it. And for probably some time, I could keep you there, educating you about animals. So now here today, I know I look really, really young. However, I might look 19, but I'm 25 years old. I'm actually a teacher. I teach at various schools, and I also work at a rehab facility as well. So alongside of that, I did develop my own company, Fauna. It is pretty much a twist of who I am. It's a Caribbean version, so like with Irie means like good, positivity, great vibes. Fauna is animals, of course. So aside from Pelican Harbor, I also go out to various schools, various events, and I educate people on Caribbean animals as well as native species. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm here for. I'm here to change paradigms, to give people a deeper understanding on the animals that we have and that we live with essentially. I have a saying that conservation is the state of harmony between man and land. So with that, I feel like that's literally our duty to be working with these animals in harmony. Hello guys, where's your mom?
Hi, sorry.
Hey, how are you guys? Come on in, grab a seat. All right, so definitely want to get started. So today in our presentation, we're actually going to be covering Florida's venomous snakes. I'll be telling you guys a little bit about what I've been doing with venomous snakes, my learning process, things of that nature. So in saying that, before I even get started, I know my name is not the only one on here. I have my fantastic mentor in the back, Ray Hunter. He actually taught me everything that I know about venomous snakes. I've worked on a venom extraction team for about like 3 years or so. Hello guys, welcome, come on in. Where we extracted from monocle cobras. I've worked with snakes from mansion vipers, cobras, eastern diamondbacks, timber rattlesnakes, you name it, I probably worked with it, alongside with various mammals, things of that nature as well. So towards the end, you guys can check out all of these tools. These are my actual tools. I do have to possess license for all the animals I keep. Currently, I have around maybe like 4 primates or so. And this is some monocle cobra sheds for you guys to check out. And if you'd like to take some home, please feel free. I have enough. So towards the end, we'll go ahead and we'll show you guys off some animals. So coexisting with snakes. There's a huge fear of snakes. A lot of people, they fear what they don't know. So this thing, ophidiophobia, that's for people that are afraid of snakes. There's a lot of snakes here in Florida. This is the main hub for invasive species, but we have a lot of native species here. We actually have 50 native species found in Florida. However, only 6 of them are venomous. So that means that while you guys go out on your day, majority of the snakes that you're gonna see, they're harmless. So a lot of people, they're afraid of them essentially for no reason. Sometimes I hear people, they'll be like, I found a snake, I don't know if it's venomous or not, or if it's harmless. The safest thing to do if you're in this predicament is to simply leave it alone. I have a saying, if you don't know what it is, please leave it alone. Because even me, as a professional, if I go to a different country and I don't know what species the snake is, trust me, I'm leaving it alone. And I love these things. So same thing goes for you guys. They're typically not aggressive unless they're cornered, or if you're trying to go after them. Majority of the times, even with venomous snakes, they're trying to flee. They want to go into a dark space. They want nothing to do with us. There's been studies where there's people that literally would just stick themselves in a room filled with venomous snakes, and they would sit there for 48 hours. people would come in, feed them, and they would exit without a single bite. These animals, they want nothing to do with us. It's just that humans, we're pretty stubborn and we want to put our hands on everything. So if you do have any snakes around your house, be thankful. That is a free version of pest control. They're there for a reason. Unfortunately, you might have some squirrels, maybe some rodents. So please don't try to kill it. Instead, just identify it. It's probably going to be non-venomous, and just appreciate it for what it is. So what to do if you're bitten? Now, if you're bitten by a venomous snake, well, bitten by a snake, period, again, try to have your best to identify what it is. Here we may have black racers, ringneck snakes, things of that nature. Again, they're completely harmless, but if you are, say, out in the Everglades, I went camping recently, and we actually came across a water moccasin. It was pitch black. If we didn't have our flash, and if the group didn't have me, we wouldn't know what it was. But unfortunately, if you are bitten by a snake, it's best to stay calm. You want to remove any rings, anything that might constrict any blood flow. And also, you don't want to start running to get that blood flow circulating even more. 9 times out of 10 people that are bit, it's from trying to handle the snake, or unfortunately, they're trying to kill the snake. And even when you are trying to kill a snake and you do it successfully, their nerves are still active. So that is something, especially with like copperheads, or even if the vipers that we have, they're going to still be active after you kill them. Even if you chop their head off, those fangs still work, venom glands still work. It can be a very, very unfortunate situation for you. So the only acceptable treatment for a venomous snake bite is anti-venom. Now there are two types of anti-venom that I'll talk about. There's one that covers a specific type of snake, or specific genus, I should say. And then you'll have some that it's a polyvalent, it covers multiple. But if all else fails, definitely call 911 and you have the fire rescue venom response team. They will be the best to help you. Sometimes you might have to be get out of there. So venom versus poison.
Excuse me.
Go for it.
Can I just interject?
Yeah, go for it.
Very minor thing. I saw a note there. If you are bitten by a venomous snake, please don't try to bring the snake to the hospital.
Absolutely.
We don't need to know. We don't need to see the snake to know which anti-venom. As he mentioned, there's a polyvalent that covers all 72 different species of rattlesnakes. Water moccasins, copperhead, covers all of that, the same anti-venom. So it doesn't matter if it was any one of those 72 species of rattlesnakes that are throughout the United States, or a water moccasin or whatever. More people are getting bit trying to bring the snake to the hospital. And the emergency department does not have snake handling professionals in there. They don't want a venomous snake in the emergency room.
Yeah,
so please don't try to bring the snake. If you want to take a picture of it and can safely do it, fine, but it honestly doesn't matter. All we have to do is weed out the coral snake, which is very easy to do because the signs and symptoms are completely different from pit vipers. So if we eliminate the coral snake, it doesn't matter what it was. We're going to use this other anyway. Sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you. So with venom versus poison, a lot of people they confuse the two. So you have different animals like poison dart frogs. That is a poisonous animal. Poison is essentially, it's a substance that has to be introduced or absorbed into the body. The molecules, they're a lot smaller, so if you're eating it, things like that. If you're ingesting poison, you have to intake it through your mouth. With venom, you can actually drink venom. Now, it is not authorized, or I'm not telling you guys to do it, but if you have a cut in your mouth, that would be a very, very sad situation. But with venom, it has to be injected into the body. You have to be bitten, stung. That's how venom has to enter the body. So the rule of thumb is that if you bite it and you die, it's poison. But if it bites you and you die, then it's venom. So things like scorpions, snakes, even lionfish. Those are venomous snakes, venomous animals. They have different spurs that essentially they inject you just like a needle. So in saying that, again, drinking venom that is not advised, but the difference is that the molecules, they can be absorbed through the skin differently. With venom, that's not so much. So there's just the difference. Please definitely educate yourself between the two. So with venom and venomous snake families, again, there's a complex mixture between the two. Now, as Ray was saying, there's a difference between coral snake venom versus eastern diamondback venom, and so on and so forth. So all of these different venoms from these different animals, they have different properties. And thus forth, the body is going to react to it accordingly. So as far as the families, you have Actractus spicidae. That's for burrowing asp. You have mole vipers, stiletto snakes. Those are pretty rare, and they're found in Africa. So we're pretty covered on that end. With the Cobraman family, most of them they are harmless, but you do have some that are including the boom slang. Again, those are in Africa, so you don't have to really worry much about them. But a boom slang is something that you really don't want to encounter at all. Now, with the Elapidae, we do have our coral snake here in drop for drop. It is the most toxic snake that we have here in the United States. But for Elapidae, that also consists of cobras, kraits, mambas, sea snakes, and I know we have like some tiger snakes, things like that in Australia. And then for Viperdae, you'll have the true vipers and the pit vipers. So things like the copperheads, eastern diamondbacks, things of that nature. They have the pits, and they also have that infamous diamond-shaped head that a lot of people would recognize them by.
Are you distinguishing between vipers and snakes? What's the difference?
So no, so those were the different families of the venomous snakes.
Families.
Yeah, the different. Yeah, so to give you guys a more of a visual, these are the 6 native venomous snakes that we have here. So this guy over there in that corner, that's the eastern diamondback. Then we have the pygmy rattlesnake, and we have the water moccasin or cottonmouth, as some may know it as. And then these are all vipers on the top here, as well as the copperhead and the timber rattlesnake. And the only Elapidae that we have, Elapid family, is the coral snake over there on that side. So these are the 6 venomous snakes. Definitely, I recommend taking pictures of these guys if you do see them. They do camouflage greatly with their environment for the most part. The coral snake should be very easy to spot. It's a very slender body snake, but they're not out to get you again, guys. They all have different warnings for different reasons. Even the cottonmouth and the copperhead, they'll rattle their snake and practice what's called mimicry to let you know that they'll rattle their tail. I'm sorry, to let you know that they're there. Of course, the others, they have their rattlers. If you hear that, just back out of the situation. I promise you don't want to see what's on the end of that.
Can you find all 6 like native venomous snakes in the Everglades?
In the Everglades and different, so yes, it just
find copperheads and cambridges.
yeah, these are going to be further up in Florida, further north in Florida, in more densely like forested areas. But I know for the rattles, the eastern diamondback, pygmies, water moccasins, they're extremely aquatic. But these guys, they're going to be higher ground. And even for the copperheads, you'll even find them more so up in like Georgia. You can't find them there. And there also are 2, you have the northern and southern copperheads. But yeah, so all but 2. All but 2, yes.
The water moccasin.
Yep.
Cottonmouth. Can you, I'm having trouble, maybe it's just my eyesight. What is the white? What are we looking at?
So that is a great observation. So the reason why it has that name, it's literally its mouth is open. So if you're over that snake, it will coil up its body and it will open up its mouth, and that's its defense mechanism to let you know that.
Warnings.
Yeah, exactly. That hey, I have this mouth. There's a pack behind that punch, and you don't want nothing to do with it. So they'll sit there, and in fact, one of the snakes that I have for you guys here today, it kind of resembles the water moccasin in terms of coloration, but you guys will see that shortly. So some of the snakes that are rear fang venomous, I want to break this down a little bit. So not all snakes that are venomous have fangs per se that are protruding like that fold in their mouth. The rear fang venomous, they'll have them like further down in their throat, and they would have to work their way down for their prey items, so that way they can actually envenomate them. So some of these, they're really, really small. I find them adorable, but they're really small, and some, believe it or not, you could actually keep like the hognose as a pet. They're really, really popular in the pet industry. But these are some of the snakes that you would actually find around in our neighborhood in the yard, opposed to the larger venomous snakes. So we like to say that it's kind of like a sting if you do get bit by these animals. And when I say bit, again, they have to work down those fangs, so they would literally have to chew on you for you to get envenomated. And at that point, that's your fault. You know, so but it's like a bee sting unless you're allergic to it. Now, if you're allergic to these particular venoms, then you'll have far more. Just like if you're allergic to a bee sting, wasp, you'll have far more of a greater reaction to that. Their main prey items are like centipedes, earthworms, toads, lizards, things that are really, really small. You're going to see on the next slide that they're actually pretty small. So this is the eastern hognose. The one that is very popular is the western hognose out in like Arizona, California, in that area. And you have the ringneck snake. You will see them, they have a very bright orange bottom. Sometimes the belly is even red, where it might be a blend of both. Then you have the Florida, and all of these are crown snakes here, but you have different variations from the Florida. Say that again? Yeah, they are really, really tiny. Like for instance, the ringneck snake, when they're babies, they're only about that big. Really, really small. And then adults, they max out around maybe 2 feet. If you find something bigger, you might be looking at like a black racer. And then the garter snakes, you'll see them as well. But these are the really, really, really small.
Which is the garter snake?
The garter snake is in the top over there.
So which is the ones that we see most here in our yards?
I would say I've seen mainly the ringnecks.
What about the middle right?
This guy here. This is a crown snake, but they really resemble each other a lot. That's that mimicry that I was talking about.
Unless you turn it over, I guess.
Yeah, you know, but if you're out in the Everglades and you truly know what you're looking for, you'll be able to see them. But with these, they have a larger range. It's just that because they're so small, also we have a lot of cats and a lot of predation on these animals. And with our infrastructure turning into a lot of real estate, we don't see as many of them as often. Personally, when I'm out and like cutting grass or in the yard and things like that, we have a lot of legless lizards. I see a lot of legless lizards. They're like very tan, long-bodied.
They have a lot of black racers too.
Yeah, black racers, but I've only seen them mainly like in parks and stuff like that. Not so
In my
much.
front yard, they love the bougainvillea, and they leave their snake skin in the bougainvillea.
Oh, okay,
It
so
helps them to shed their skin, and in the backyard, I have black racers all the time.
Okay. Okay.
Ringnecks.
Yeah, so it really just depends on where you're at. Really depends on. Okay. So this is something that I really, really wanted to touch on. And Ray, if you have any insight, I know you work heavily with the coral snakes, but a lot of people, we know of all of these different sayings that go and correspond with all of our venomous snakes here. A lot of people, they'll be like, the pupils, if they're rounded versus slitted, then it's different. The coral snake has rounded eyes. You know what I mean? So it's like, it depends on literally what species, and if you're not engaged in working with these type of animals, and you truly, again, I have to stress it, truly don't know what it is, please leave it alone.
If you can see their elliptical eyes, you're way too close.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And even like the diamond shape, the diamond head shape, boas arguably have that same head shape. If you're thinking about Colombian red-tailed boas, the snake again that I'm going to show you guys, it's a viper boa. It has that head shape, but it is not a venomous snake. So if, depending on where you go, that might not be the case. And even if you have the rattling noise, that coincides with mimicry. Corn snakes, rat snakes, milk snakes, they all practice mimicry, and they will rattle the end of their tails to make it seem like, okay, there's a rattler, or just to scare off any other bigger predators. So a lot of us know this saying, red touches black, you're a lucky jack. Red touches yellow, you're a dead fellow. So that can work, but sometimes it can't. And that's where things get a little bit scary, because here we have the coral snake, and here we have a non-venomous snake, the scarlet snake, the scarlet king snake, and there's other snakes that actually mimic this same pattern coloration. Although the pattern, the saying actually abides with this one, I like to tell people, if you go to South America, or even sometimes I've seen variations down in the Keys with the coral snakes, that mutations do develop. There might be more of a maybe more all black of a coral snake, or it just might have a little bit of yellow, or sometimes the banding is a little bit off, and now you're just like, oh, red touches black, I'm a lucky jack, and then you find out you're not so lucky. You know, so, and especially in South America, these animals, there is a South American coral snake, and again, that rule might not abide in that sense.
Most of the South American coral snakes, the rule is reversed. So the red and yellow killer fellow,
Yep.
it's actually reversed. I don't teach that. For the United States, I teach people to think of a traffic signal.
Yeah.
There's no way you can screw up any nursery rhyme if you think of the red and yellow lights, caution and red light being next to each other.
Got you. So.
I also just wanted to mention, I know, for example, in Texas, there is just a native coral, which is black and yellow, there's no red at all. So that's why
Exactly.
you don't want to rely on,
That's it.
well, it is not.
Yeah, no, the Texas coral snake looks just like the full face that we have,
Okay.
So.
Well,
except there's a little more black pigments in it.
but it's still average, so the nursery might want more.
Right.
So that's fine.
So to say the least, it might not always work, and it's not worth it finding out. So these are some of the variations that you may see. And if you don't know 100%, please just leave it alone, or you can just send me a picture, call Ray, and we can help you out from there. So the reason why this is important is because a lot of people, they need to be educated on these things. As we were stating before, we have Bill Haas. Ray actually used to work very, very closely with Bill Haas, and there's different venom extraction labs here in Florida that they do great work. They have lots of different types of venomous snakes, and they extract them weekly, monthly. Everybody has their own time frames, but as they are extracting from these animals, it's a whole medical procedure. As they extract and they get all of these venoms from the snakes, then they go to different venom labs. They get the yields from them, and essentially they're able to fight off different diseases, make them into pain medications, things of that nature. This is still something that we're continuously diving deeper into, and we're doing a lot of research But it's very interesting, but to say the least, it is still a very, very dangerous job. I see it up close. A lot of different things can go wrong. So that's why, like with Bill Haas, he's been bit so many times. He's built up antibodies, and he has a blend of different venoms that he had worked with in his time, and that allowed him to get his blood studied essentially. So it's not advised for anyone.
Apparently he lived to be 101 years old.
Yeah, yeah, he lived to be a long time, you
He's
know.
bit 173 times.
Yeah.
So he injected himself with 32 different venoms every 21 days. To keep his immunity high.
So yeah, so that's, you know, it's pretty impressive, but if you know, but
You
yeah,
misspelled his last name.
say that again.
His last name is Haast.
Got you. So, but yeah, so you know, there's definitely a lot that comes with it, but you can end up paying an unfortunate price. All right, so I'm gonna tell you guys now. We're not gonna dive completely into all of this. This is just I started going down a rabbit hole, and but all of these different venoms. Again, like I stated before, the different venoms, they have different properties. Essentially, venom is really, really good for the animal itself. It helps them break down the food, the prey item that they're eating. So that's why if you ever hear of a snake being defanged, it's very unfortunate because that allows them to aid in their digestive process. So some of the major categories for venomous snakes will be neurotoxic, chemotoxic, cytotoxic, and myotoxic. All of these different animals, they have these different traits, and they hit different parts of the body. So for like rattlesnakes, you get bit by a rattlesnake per se, it's gonna like deteriorate like your flesh, like it's gonna pretty much eat away at itself. Your skin is really gonna start to open up. With like black mamba, it's gonna affect like your nervous system. It's gonna feel like your nerves on fire, and so on and so forth. So there's different levels that they attack the body, to say the least. So again, it's just best not to get bit by these animals because they do a great job of doing what they do, and evolution has definitely taken its place. So about 50,000 people are killed in India alone from bites of the big 4 venomous snakes that we have. These animals here, they're actually not here in Florida, so we're pretty safe. But in places like India, where the infrastructure is more, I want to say, it's just more environmental, to say the least. They may have like dirt floors or just a snake in the wall, things like that, and things that we don't necessarily deal with here in Florida. You'll have like the Indian or spectacled cobra, common crate, Russell's viper. That is a huge one. That is a snake that you really don't want to get bitten by, because that is in the herpetology world, we would refer to something that's just a little bit more high end as hot. So that is some really, really hot venom that you don't want to be around. The saw-scaled viper. The reason why these animals, they're really, really deadly is just because, again, the potency and the availability of resources once they do get big, it's just really downhill from there. Now, it was the first anti-venom was established in 1895. I could be wrong, but it looks like Alberto Calmette or Albert Calmette. And he started with Indian cobra, and it was through a form of pasteurization. So he started to work with that, and these are the 2 different types of antivenom that we work with today: polyvalent and monovalent. And again, it's the one specifies in a specific, and then the other, it covers a broad range of other snakes. And this here is a monocle cobra, and that's the amount of venom that we got at that point in time. Yeah. So another monocle cobra. So many of the toxins from the venoms, they're used as drugs to treat various conditions, cancer, hypertension, thrombosis, and with this, they all have a certain medical purpose. With the monocle cobras, I know that we use it for a pain medication called Myloxin, and that helps with various things as well. However, this is something that I also try to learn more as much as I can on as well, because there's anti-venoms, but in my mind, there's always a natural remedy. Now, of course, the natural remedy to these things may not, you still might lose your life, you know. But it's always good to know that that there are things that can fight against them to mitigate pain, control the infection, and essentially boost your immune system if you are getting bit and you just happen to be out in the jungle. Now, one of which, duck flower, that is an extremely, extremely powerful herb. I do not recommend anyone taking it if you don't know what it is. But these are some of the different herbs that I've seen that different indigenous people use to fight against some of these venomous bites where they're from. Now again, it can be very potent, but your best bet is to go with the anti-venom. That is a lot safer and quicker in that sense. So to become responsibly involved, in my path, I didn't talk too much about how I got into venomous snakes. So as I started working with my own collection, working with non-venomous snakes, and just diving into the passion, I was fortunate enough to meet various great mentors that taught me everything I know about these animals. And essentially, they protected me with their life. You know, I always tell people to seek education in the most humblest way, because there's too many times where I've seen people, they arrive at the venom extraction team and they're ready to get hands-on from day one because they've kept ball pythons for 10 years and they know corn snakes, and venomous snakes are nothing like non-venomous snakes. That is something that you have to internally be ready for, and it's not something that I truly recommend anyone just rushing into, because again, it can cost your life. I do have my own personal collection of venomous snakes, and these again are my tools that I use. I'm really, really huge on using tools because if you don't know what you're doing, it's just a lot safer. Nobody wants to get bit. In here I have, YouTube is not the best resource of information because there are a lot of people that work with venomous snakes, and we have children here, they might be watching these people, looking up to these people, and they might be like, okay, I could do that. It looks so easy. Even like my first couple of times like working with Ray, he's phenomenal at what he does, you know, like in my mind, I'm like, dang, like he can really work with these animals and he makes it look easy. But if you've been doing it for 20 plus years, that's what comes to happen. And now when I'm working with it, people say I make it look easy, but it took years and years of just training. I first started working with venomous snakes when I was 18, 25 now. It took me a year and a half of being down at the farm for I'm talking week after week, I'm just watching, I'm getting exposed to it, and I had to essentially get used to the shock of seeing a cobra hood up in front of you, hearing the hissing, the strikes. Now, for me, it's like drinking water, but it took a lot of training to get to that point, and also a lot of trust, and just a lot of confidence to internally get to that point. So it's not something that I advise for anyone to try to just do from the jump. It's not advised at all. So there are venomous seminars. The Fire Squad, Venom 1 team, they offer different seminars. There are licensed professionals that you can ask for mentorship, and you can ask for mentorship, and there's a lot of research that you can do on your own. Again, I've been a nerd for this stuff since I was a child. When I started working with venomous snakes, I was already working in the Everglades with 13-foot alligators and taking care of them, things like that. So I've been in the field for a very long time, but this is something that you do have to be licensed with. It takes 1,000 hours with each family that I was talking about earlier, Lapidae, Viperdae, Chilodermae, all of those different families. And you have to get your inspection every year, show your tools, have a venomous proof room, double door. There's so many different requirements, but you have to be willing to do all of those different steps in order to keep those snakes. So this is not a game, to say the least. And books are always great to read on all of these different books. That is something that I advise for anyone that wants to work with them. These are some of the books that people have published, and they tell you how the different venoms, in depth, they affect the body, where the snakes come from, things of that nature. And there are a lot more medical books that I want to say that go even more in depth on the toxicology of these different animals. They're a little bit harder to get, but these are some that are more readily available, especially this one. One of my newfound friends actually just wrote that book, so definitely please check it out and sell out that book for him. And this is me when it all started. That is what the glass looks like at the end of our venom extraction. This is me and Ray when we started doing venom extraction. As you guys can see, my hair was a lot shorter back then, but it definitely took a lot of time to be working with these animals, and yeah, I have fun doing it. So, yep.
About how many like drops of venom do you get per snake, like per extraction? I've seen these glasses with like, it looks like a whole like shot glass worth of venom. Like how much can they each produce within?
On average, it's about a tenth of 1 to 2/10 of a milliliter.
Yeah, so it's not that much.
Up to 0.2, between 0.1 and 0.2 cc's per milliliter, same thing.
Yeah, so it's not that much. In
It's
this,
not as much as like a rattlesnake.
yeah,
You get a large rattlesnake and you can get a full gram out of one bite. A gram is 5 milliliters or 5 cc's of liquid.
yeah,
Once that's processed, spun down, sterile filtered, and likewise freeze dried, that will weigh 1 gram.
yeah.
But
So-
no cobras. I have king cobras. They don't even put out a full gram on that bite. The eastern diamondback has probably the highest venom yield of all the venomous.
Yeah. Their venom yield is a lot higher. But with monocle cobras, it's not. They don't give you that much. But this is.
But the difference is one to 2 drops from a cobra is fatal to you. It would take 40 milligrams from a rattlesnake to kill you.
Yeah. So the
So it's much
toxicity.
more toxic, drop for drop.
Yeah, that's a huge point. Yeah, the toxicity is a lot different. But again, either way, you don't want to get big. So with these, this is like. I want to say like the whole orange worth of venom extraction. And last but not least, you guys can definitely check us out on the social media platforms as well as Pelican Harbor. Definitely, I know we've seen a lot of familiar faces, so we definitely thank you guys for coming out. I do want to put out there that. If you guys are open or even want to volunteer, please feel free to do so. I have our volunteer directors information in the back there. You guys can sign.
Harbor, not at the.
Yes, not at the venom.
Milking snakes.
Yes, not at Pelican Harbors. Thank you, Hannah. But this is the king cobra that they have worked with. Tom Crutchfield, Ray Hunter in the back there. So yeah, if you guys want to check out any of the platforms there, definitely you can see how the venom extraction is on social media, real life, things of that nature. But please, yes, Pelican Harbor, we would appreciate as many volunteers. So I hope to see all of you guys tomorrow. Okay?
Troy,
Yes.
you spoke about a hog snake,
You have to have those.
being a pet. Explain to me how a snake can be.
So the hog, yeah, you go for it. Watch your eyes, guys. We're about to cut one on. So yeah, with the hognose, the western hognose in particular, yeah, because they're a rare fang venomous snake, a lot of people they have like a, let me see if I have a picture here, but they have a little shovel-like nose, really really cute, and yeah, a lot of people they keep them, but because they're rare fang venomous and they're not like an immediate threat, yeah, they can
So what do
be.
you do? You take them out of their
Yeah,
cage?
yeah, people take them out of their enclosure. You can sit there on the porch with them. Yeah,
Wrap them around.
Okay.
yeah, like yeah,
You know, I like cats, I like dogs, I like birds.
I respect them.
yeah. A lot of
Stay in the
people,
ground,
you know,
you guys just
a lot of
stay
people
right
like affectionate animals in that way, but snakes, they can be, or reptiles in that sense, they can be very affectionate to a certain degree. It just depends on how you're reading their mannerism and their behavior. So like, for instance, this is a perfect opportunity to show you guys.
Okay.
So like, with the corn snake, oh, actually this guy just finished shedding too. So you guys get to see a fresh shed. So this is a fresh shed. This literally happened while we were doing the presentation. So
I find those little sheds in my bougainvillea.
How often do they shed?
so it depends on their age and their size, but you could say it's fair to say maybe about once a month, maybe once every 2 months, just depending on the age and the size. The younger, the more frequent, because they're growing more. But this is made out of the same thing as our hair and our fingernails, keratin. And yeah, this is a fresh shed. The reason why this guy's called a corn snake, there's stories that their belly, it looks like, yeah, like corn, like the indigenous corn. But also, a lot of similar stories go with like milk snakes, rat snakes. A lot of farmers used to think that the snakes would actually hook up to the cows, steal their milk, scare away the farm animals, things like that. That's not this sense. The only reason why they're there, anywhere where there's agriculture, you're gonna have food, rats, rodents, and they're here to take care of that for you guys. But yeah, like literally when I was a kid, I would just sit here, watch TV all day with this guy, and just enjoy and flickering around.
Is that snaky?
This is not Snaky. Snaky, unfortunately, I have no idea where Snaky is. When I was deciding on going to college, I thought I was going to go out of state. So, yeah, I passed him along to a friend. That friend passed him along to another friend. So yeah, no, it's not lost in the house. Hopefully, Snaky should definitely be alive still, because these animals, they can live upwards to 20 years. Some of the ball pythons, they can even live towards like 50 years, 40 to 50 years old. It's pretty rare, but it can definitely happen if they're in great condition.
Is this yours?
This animal is not mine. The next animal in there is mine. Yep.
What does he eat now?
Rats. They can eat rats, chicks, mice, but I would say adult mice for this guy, or even quail as well.
How often?
About once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks max. If it's really really fat, you could probably eat maybe once a month, but it's not recommended for corn snakes. They have a pretty fast metabolism.
So you mentioned they can be infectious, so here's my question. Are they trainable? Because I was in Morocco and in the square in Marrakesh, They had these snake handlers, and we took pictures and everything, and they were very, very tame. They were cobras. So my question is,
They
do
were,
they devenom, do they take the venom out probably
so
before
in that
they?
sense, they probably defang them, where they take out the fangs from the snake. If they're just like free handling them and if it is cobras like you say it is, if they are cobras, then in that sense that's probably what happened, because cobras you're not gonna just kind of like have a
They
cobra.
don't really
Right.
take that.
They're not gonna
In
take
the
They
that.
don't really
in the
take
tourist
that like
district.
that.
Yeah, especially, yeah.
If they're that tame, if they're that tame, they're not gonna stand up and display the hood.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, what happens 99% of the time, because I'm also an importer, I bring in snakes from other countries and we get them in this condition and it's horrible. They literally suture up the mouth. They
Yeah.
sew the mouth shut.
Yeah.
Okay, if you see them opening it, then they're not, but
Yeah.
99% of the time, like in India, when they're doing the snake shows with the cobras, distracting them and the cobras are watching them food, and they don't hear, they're following motion, movement. But 90% of the times, their mouths are sewed shut, because we get those snakes, and they come into the United States with their mouths still sewn up. It's horrible.
It's sewn up.
Oh, yeah, we just cut the sutures.
It's sewn up for transport?
No, it's sewn up so the handlers don't get bit of it.
Oh, you can only sew it up for so long though, right?
I'm sorry?
You can only keep it sewn up for so long.
For about a month.
Yeah.
Cobras only need to eat once a month.
The
It's very cool.
tongue doing.
so, the tongue, they have what's called, on the roof of their mouth, they have what's called a Jacobson's organ. So is anybody ever, woke up and they smelled food cooking and they knew exactly what it was? That's pretty much what these guys want. So he's using that tongue to pick up particles in the air. It goes up to that sensory organ in his brain, and then he can identify if there's food in the area. None of us fortunately smell like rodents. So, yeah, it's a little bit cool in here.
Ooh, it's slimy and icky.
So I definitely want to get him warmed up. So, yeah, and that's why also like when you're sitting down with them, right? Yeah, I definitely bring them back. They'll just kind of sit there with you because our bodies aren't warm, and sometimes they'll even go in like your arm or your sleeve, and they'll just try to warm up. But it's also a dark, warm place, so they definitely love that. But yeah, that's what the Jacobson's organ is doing. Great. And then the last snake that I have, this is one that I personally own. So this is the Viper Bowl. The only reason why I actually use a snake hook is because I really don't like getting bit. I love these animals, but I know what they're capable of, and I haven't handled him in a while. And because he's a Viper Bull, to tell you a little bit of their background, they actually are more of like ground dwellers. They'll be on the forest floor, camouflage, and they're ambush hunters. So if something runs across, then boom, they grab it. But he doesn't really like being handled. Sometimes he'll just kind of just try to get away in a sense. Again, these animals, they want nothing to do with us half of the time. So I'll just show you guys him from a distance, and you'll see how it looks like a water moccasin or oh wow, now he's all dried out. But usually if they're wet, he's dry right now, but if they're wet, it looks a lot different. Yeah, but his scales are a lot different. They're a lot rougher. So if I were to pour some water on him, it would be all like more darker brown.
This is venomous?
Yeah, no, this is not venomous. It's just that he can be nippy at times. This is not the most friendly snake. He's but yeah, this is a Viper Boy. As you guys can see, that head has way more of a diamond shaped kind of like head.
So does he constrict?
Yes. Yes, yes. They both constrict.
Really?
Yeah, they both constrict. So yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool though. It's pretty cool. So, what time is it?
It's 6:54.
Okay, perfect timing. All right. So as we wrap this up, do you guys have any additional questions about?
Yeah, right. Do snakes continue growing in length the older they get, or do they reach a certain maximum size at, let's say, maturity?
Yeah. So they have reptiles have what's called indeterminate growth. So they're gonna continue to shed. They're gonna continue to grow. It's gonna be in smaller and smaller increments as they get bigger.
So that's why we had that 20-foot
Like the Burmese python bull, but that species in particular, yes, but that species in particular is amongst the top 5 largest snakes that we have in the world. You know, so and the females in particular get larger than the males. So same things for like this. This is actually considered like a dwarf boa. The anaconda, it's a boa as well. That's the largest, you know. So with the girls, they get bigger.
How old do you think that 20-foot python in the Everglades may have been?
Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell. I would say,
How old is it?
yeah, how old? Yeah, maybe,
At least 15.
yeah, 15 to 20. That's the
And it
best.
really depends on the food source. Out in the Everglades, they have unlimited food source.
Yeah,
So the more they eat, they're opportunity eaters. So the more they eat, the quicker the faster the growth rate is. But once they reach adulthood, like pythons specifically, once they reach 10, 15 feet, their growth rate slows down so much that you almost don't even,
yeah,
years go by before they go.
an inch.
But are any of those slaves, or snakes in the Everglades, are they ever like identifying special tags for them?
Most of them.
US
Yeah.
Geologic Survey actually
Yeah.
has it, so
Yeah.
does the FWC Conference for geotags on the females.
Yeah.
During breeding season, they go and they get clutches and also try to take that.
They measure them when they do that.
Yeah, and it also helps them find the locations where they're hiding out at, and
They take it
and-
to the den.
yeah. Yeah, it helps them like kind of send one out and find everybody.
They do have dogs now that they've trained to sniff out snakes, particularly Burmese, and they're using those to track them down too.
Yeah.
They're never gonna get all of Burmese out of the Everglades. It's not.
Yeah, they have a lot of eggs.
Whatever they get out, it's
How many eggs do they produce?
What's the viability?
The Burmese
of baby
pythons.
snake? Yeah.
Like in the invasive ones in the Everglades?
I know the Burmese pythons. I believe it's around like 20 to 50 eggs.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
20 to 50.
Yeah, about 20 to 50.
I had one that had, every year, she would lay 54 eggs every year.
Yeah.
And what's the survival rate? Better than
So no, they're not like turtles. I was.
Better than turtles.
Oh, better than turtles. Yes. Yeah. Because once they're
They have
born,
birds and gators out there.
yeah, herons. We had a picture of one somewhere here, but like herons, they would, yeah, that guy over there, they would actually eat them from time to time. But the thing is as they're born, they're pretty large snakes, so they'll be born around close to a foot long as a baby, and they can eat things on their way up. So they could, not necessarily a baby alligator right off the bat, but if the alligator is small enough, they could definitely eat it. Other snakes, eggs of other animals, turtles, frogs, you name it. They can eat a lot of things as they go up the trophic level, you know. So that's where things get a little bit messy, because there's really not much stopping them, and especially in the quantity and the successful rate that they have those eggs. It's just, it's really hard to catch up.
What snakes would we see on Caribbean islands?
Caribbean islands, like that one.
I mean, a
So
lot of them made it to the islands, or
so not really. So you would find the snakes that are indigenous to the islands. So like You would have like Bahamian, like sword boas. There's a lot of different boa species. The Boidae family.
You're from Jamaica, right?
Yeah, so we have the Jamaican boa. That'll be found there. Some of the smaller snake species you can find. That is something I'm still actually researching because they have their herpetoculture there is just a little bit different, but there's some that we don't have any venomous snakes.
In the Caribbean.
Not in the Caribbean. Not in the Caribbean.
That's
I know that
fantastic.
there's a Reuben rattlesnake that I just learned about, but I haven't even seen it before. But I know in Jamaica we don't have any venomous snakes.
I'm surprised Cuba doesn't have rattlesnakes, do they? Yeah.
Does Cuba have rattlesnake?
I didn't hear.
Cuba, do they have any
No.
venomous snakes?
No.
Yeah.
No.
The majority of them they don't have. But if you go to South America, and you'll get like the jumping vipers, murder ants, and things like that.
Have you been bitten?
No, I haven't been bitten. I still have all 9 of my fingers. I'm just kidding.
So when they have these large clutches of eggs, are the native species like alligators or crocodiles or any of them, if they discover that this could be their food source? Has that been what's happening with that kind of?
Yeah,
species?
so yes, they compete.
So who eats the eggs now? Who's discovered that these eggs are?
Raccoons have been found
okay,
to they just did a study. Who was it? I want to say it was Miami, but I don't want to miscredit anyone. But I know, yes,
Raccoons?
raccoons. I haven't heard anything about opossums eating them, but yeah, raccoons are like the best bet of eating those type
What
of
about
eggs.
alligators or crocodiles?
Not so much. When they're babies and they hit the water, then the alligators will go after them. But the eggs particularly, I haven't heard so much about the alligators eating the eggs. I'm sure they would. They're opportunistic. It's just with the snakes, they bury them, you know, or the mom would kind of like be sitting on top of them, incubating them. So it's like, you know, it's kind of hard to come across.
Do you have native snakes that give live birth?
Yes. So that is a great question. So a lot of people think that all snakes lay eggs. Boas do not lay eggs, like this viper boa, and live bearing. The vipers, the copperhead, water moccasin, eastern diamondback, garter snake, they don't lay eggs as well. And that's also ties into why you don't want to try to kill a venomous snake, because sometimes even if you kill them, the babies will just pop right out. And now you got 10 babies that you got to deal with, you know? And they can't always control their venom yield. You know, if you get bit by a baby venomous snake, sometimes it can be a dry bite. Sometimes they could give you a whole clip, and it's not good. They could just unload you. So, but it's still a little amount of venom, but you just don't want to be in that predicament. Any more questions?
Are there any structures in the sex, like alligators?
I believe so. Ray, do you know if
We can't hear that.
the eggs are they sex temperature dependent, like
They're a little more
alligators?
sensitive to temperature than gators are,
Yeah,
but the Florida climate is perfect for them.
Yeah.
They like 80s temperature,
yeah,
so Florida climate and humidity is perfect for them.
yeah. So I know the different ranges. I know there's a rule, like if you get the higher temperature, you'll get more of one gender versus the other.
On that note, like, there's a lot of rattlesnakes in Texas and such, right?
Yeah.
It's cold in Texas, snows there.
Yeah,
Do they hibernate in the
they-
winter,
they
or
go
how do they
through-
not die like our iguanas die?
Yeah, they go through a process called brumation.
Yeah.
So brumation is pretty much when they become really, really dormant, slow down their heartbeat. A lot of those type of snakes, they actually create, like they live in dens, where they can pretty much they can just be in that dormant state. And also rattlesnakes, they're a very heavy body snake. So if they're eating all summer and if they're packing on the weight, sometimes they can go a month, maybe 2 without even without eating. You know, even when it comes to like the Burmese pythons, like the bigger the snake, the more body weight that they can pack on, they could go longer without.
So how far north will we see snakes? How far north do snakes live?
Well, I believe,
Throughout the United States.
yeah, they're everywhere because,
Canada?
Do you mean like, yeah, that's.
yeah,
What
so,
latitude do snakes no
You'll
longer
get,
exist?
you'll get timber rattlesnakes up in Canada.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I don't know how far the copperheads go up, how they go into Canada, I think not.
yeah, because that's where we have the northern
Yeah, but
copperheads.
all the way up to the top of the United States, snakes.
Yeah, so they'll come out their dens, bask, eat, go back, and do it all over again tomorrow.
I don't know if Alaska.
Yeah, I know, like, yeah, Alaska, like, if it gets, like, extremely cold, but anywhere where the temperature kind of
If
can
they're
range.
cold-blooded, would die. Wintertime.
Yeah, but they're extremely resilient, extremely. Even like alligators, they'll literally freeze themselves underwater, stick their nose out the ice, breathe, be dormant. As soon as that ice melts, back in action. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Cool, that's why I love this stuff. I think we are all set here. Again, you guys can